All right, so let's go get started. I am super pumped to be here. I think that this event is a point in history that is changing everything. I'm glad and honored to say that I was there with Victor on the very beginning by providing some text and support and things like that. And I told him in that time that I really believed on the idea of this project. And 1 year and a half later, here where we are on this size of this proportion. I'm so happy to be part of that. So congratulations to you, Victor, for the entire team that is supporting you on making that happen. For all the participants and panelists, it's rich. It's really an honor to be here. So a little bit of marketing here, that you know that my book is out there. It's The Ultimate FinOps for Azure. And there is a 30% discount now being offered through Orange Ava. That is my publisher. You can go there, or you can choose to buy from Amazon. So feel free to get that. I didn't do a slide presenting myself because I'm doing so many things on the FinOps space that I don't want to bore you about that. So my LinkedIn is there, or is open for you to take a look and communicate. I'm gladly working for Cloud Zero now, collaborating with the Smart Clouds on the Radar Cloud. There is the Portuguese newsletter. Other initiatives as well, helping other companies on funding on the foundation of their FinOps practice and things like that. But now my main focus on Cloud Zero, happy to be there. But with that said, I just want to put a disclaimer here that the views and ideas that I will be sharing here reflect my personal perspective. Okay, they may not represent those from my contractors, partners, or publishers. With that said, let's get going. I want to talk today about the challenges that I'm seeing on the FinOps arena. There's lots of confusion going out there from all the personas, things that goes on the FinOps adoption, questions on how to scale FinOps, maturity, misunderstanding of what maturity is, understanding of really what FinOps is. Many people are sometimes make the relationship that FinOps equal to cost savings, and there's a lot of things going out there, and I'm always thinking, how can we bring more clarity of what this is, what our business or what our industry is doing. So what is on the foundation of our understanding that is missing? And I want to give you a proposal of mine that could explain how to solve it. This is basically has to do with the fundamental difference between CapEx and OpEx. On the past, we used to be CapEx oriented, but today, not anymore. FinOps is fundamentally an OpEx intense discipline because cloud spends behavior like a utility bill, recurring, variable, tied directly to consumption. Differently from CapEx model where infrastructure is purchased mostly upfront, cloud cost scales its usage, making operational decisions the primary driver of financial outcomes. So this means every deployment, every workload, and every architectural choice has a direct impact on the bottom line. FinOps should be bringing financial accountability to the daily operations, empowering teams to treat clouds like a production line, where efficiency, visibility, and mainly ownership are essential to controlling costs and maximizing the value. But seems that they're still struggling on getting that. And this made me think, we are not the only the only business doing OpEx. OpEx it's out there for years, and many other industries operates and make money, tons of money under this model. So I was thinking, is it possible to learn from other OpEx intense industries? And is there any similarities between them? And what can we do from cloud and especially FinOps? And this brings us to the broader question. How do OpEx intensive industries operate when every unit of output carries a recurring cost? So the result really blew my mind. Well, to illustrate that, let me tell you a story. And that's the story of Marcelo. He's a good friend of mine. He's an old friend of mine. We know each other since we were teenager troublemakers. Marcelo is 52 years old now, and my age, well, I will not say, but all that I'm going to say is that I still plan to stay younger than him. I saw in LinkedIn that he got a new job and found that it would be perfect match for us to learn, for me to learn a little bit more about manufacturing. Marcelo, he works for Nema Bakehouse. The Nema Bakehouse has 7 years of existence. They bake all sorts of bread made of natural long fermentation. They are in Rio. They are expanding. They are in 6 owned stores, 24 franchise stores, and they plan to big, just scale high. Marcelo, he's a production manager of a unit that produces bread for 2 stores. A little bit about fermentation, which is, it's all completely off topic because this is an ancient technique. It's ancient. It was invented by, or not sure if it was invented, but the Egyptian there in 1500s before Christ, there are registers that they were already doing that. It comes to a core, let's say, they start preparing the bread, and there is a natural fermentation that starts to, and it can last infinitely if you can put proper care on that. So there are knowns. One of the portions of that lasts maybe 97 years. There is someone in Switzerland that has the same source for 150 years. So with putting that aside, the industrial bakery is a manufacturing industry. Thus, it's OpEx intense. All right. So they want to grow to 60 units and to scale the business. Marcelo, this friend of mine, has a lot of experience in the food industry. He knows, but he knows nothing about cloud. Actually, he never heard about FinOps. So what can he teach us about FinOps and how the practice that they are carrying will help them grow to their objective and also help us grow our FinOps practice? Let me take you into this conversation and left me thinking for days. It was 2 hours with Marcelo, a longtime friend, a sharp observer, and someone that knows how to cut through the noise. From that exchange, there were powerful themes: team setup, standardization, and unit economics. But it's not a checklist, okay? It's an invitation. As you listen and explore what I have ahead, I encourage you to abstract. Don't just take notes, but take perspective. This presentation is not a prescriptive, and I'm not here to define standards, okay? I'm here to offer a lens, a way to step back and see our FinOps practice not as a cost center, but as a living, evolving system. So are you ready to dive in? Let's unpack each one of these and see what we can learn. Let's start with the team setup. It's more related to engineering teams. You can see here the picture. It's the bakery kitchen, all right? So we could do some parallels here, like the raw materials could be compute, storage, and data, foundational cloud resources, and the equipment, they are the CI/CD pipelines and automated provisioning workflows. They even have a Kanban board. I'm serious. They have a Kanban board there. They are all into continuous improvement, and that comes from those mindset. But this is something that I will cover, fortunately, in another conversation. So a little bit about their team. That's what Marcelo told me. They're a small team, between 6 and 10 people per shift. They work on the same environment. They should keep the environment clean and organized. They have a real Kanban board, and they are accountable for the production. So what are the parallels here that I could make by listening to this? It's the 6 to 10 people team drives to the squads or engineering squads. Shared environment. So the team is working their common cloud accounts or subscriptions with shared responsibility for cost performance. To keep that clean and organized tells us that all the resources are well tagged. They are tidy. They are tidy dashboards. The cost hygienes, like for example, you don't have any zombie workloads out there. The real Kanban board is an agile approach for backlog grooming, cost anomaly triage, saving opportunities tracking. And accountable for production to me means that the teams own their cloud usage budgets and optimization outcomes. It's really a digital shop floor. You can describe cloud FinOps teams and operating as a digital shop floor. Each team runs its own production line, like workloads, services, pipelines. They must keep the line efficient, optimize spend, reduce waste. They use visual management tools like dashboard, Kanban board, cost reports, and they are accountable for the throughput and cost, not just delivery. So I think that the message here is like, just like manufacturing teams own their shift, cloud teams must own their spend. FinOps isn't a finance function. FinOps is not just chasing people for optimization and savings. It's a production discipline for digital operations. So let's talk about the second point, standardization. This one really, really blew my mind, and you're gonna see why in a second. When we were having our conversation, he said exactly this in Portuguese, and then I just translated. He said, expansion needs to be replicable, otherwise
Anderson, I
going on.
cannot hear. Okay, now we
Can you
can
hear
hear
me
you
now?
again. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was telling then Victor is like the expansion, what he said here and that's written on the screen is something like it's seems that it's something that you would listen in one of the meetings inside the IT teams and in one of our FinOps meetings. Expansion needs to be replicable, otherwise you cannot scale, and that's so true. So operations, they have for example, they have an operational manual. In this operational manual, they have all the processes, they have the specification, they have the images for each step, how to maintain the equipment, how to do preventive maintenance, the supplier catalog, like what are the tools that they are able to be using in tests that was tested and approved, the brands of the products, the supplier. And I asked him, what about, and how does that work? And he said, well, it doesn't mean that this is the most perfect options. That is simply the options that we made the choice, and we're living with it. Doesn't mean that we cannot change, but if everybody uses whatever they want, we will not be able to keep the results repeatable and to scale. And I was like, this sounds so familiar. So there's so much to unpack. I will just choose two of them. And in terms of maintenance, resource life cycle management, like cleanup and usage services, patching and upgrades, and supplier catalog, like having approved cloud services, SKUs, and third-party tools, everybody using the same, so that you can scale in terms of standardized process. So, but that's not only that. Let's continue. The common taxonomy, they realize that everybody can speak the same language, we need to align what we're going to be talking. When we say one word, that word has the same meaning for everybody. This is so true. I think that FinOps has a good taxonomy, especially implemented by Focus. So those common taxonomy helps on the conversation between the teams and the areas. Communication chain. They had a problem, like, as it was a small company, the founder were talking with the guy that were on the store, the guy on the store was talking with the guy that was on the bakery kitchen. So sometimes this becomes a little bit of a confusion. Establish a communication chain is really, really helpful. It's like, we know exactly how the communication, the views are flowing within the organization. That also drives efficiency. Okay, so continue here. Central team defines process. Very similar to the FinOps principle of a FinOps should be enabled centrally. This centralized teams is the one that helps define the processes that will be changed, that will be followed, but also evaluate how this is going to be evolved throughout the time. All right, receiving feedback. If anything is written in stone, they can be changed. But while it's not changed, it's asked that everybody follow the same process. Another quote of Marcelo: standardization produces predictable results. This is so true. This is so true. It reduces variability when teams follow consistent process. Whether in manufacturing or cloud operations, they create repeatable outcomes. In FinOps, this could mean, for example, consistent tagging, standard provision templates, and workflows that are governed. Predictable is the foundation of control. You know, this is, everybody tells that, and I agree with that. You can optimize what you can measure, and you can measure what is not standardized. There are people that could argue from that. Some may argue that a rigid standard kills creativity or slow teams down. The concern, in my opinion, is valid. They have a benefit, but here's the counterpoint. Don't think that standardization is a rigidity. It actually brings clarity. When the basics are standardized, teams spend less time reinventing the wheel and more time innovating where it matters. Think that as a guardrails and not a handcuff. All right. So from an executive angle, they could say in Cloud FinOps, standardization isn't a bureaucracy. It's the blueprint for scalable efficiency, because this will help us we'll have fewer surprises, make faster decisions, and better business outcomes. So observability is crucial, and this is the last point. I want to talk about metrics and unit economics. They have that in there as well. So in that, on their work, anything that they do need to be very well controlled in terms of temperature. Any problem on the temperature of the environment or the temperature of the dough or the mixing speed, it will simply make everything, all the production will be wasted. So they need to be constantly managing the environment. What you can see here on the screen is them checking on the Kanban board the temperature every hour. The little equipments there are in place for them to measure the temperature in different points of the room manually. So the operator responsibility is to record equipment temperature 3 times per day. And then this practice builds accountability and reinforces ownership of the production. The parallel to me in cloud would be this. You can frame this as a metaphor for cloud operations. The temperature checking or tracking, it's like the monitoring cloud resources, performance, and cost thresholds. Operator accountability could be related to engineering teams owning their spend and usage metrics. The engagement through understanding. FinOps education improves adoption and optimization. And finally, the inventory checks reserve the instance, savings plans, and capacity planning for forecasting will ensure that you have a good environment so that your application, your services can run steadily and in an optimal situation. Still, now a little bit more on the metrics. Cost of goods sold for them and for manufacturing in general is very important. This is business specifically. They calculate cost of goods sold based on beginning of the inventory for the week, the sales that were made in that week, and the ending inventory. They admitted that they are missing some points in here, but basically this is what they are using. This has a lot to do with unit economics. In both contexts, the goal is to understand the cost per unit of value delivered. For example, in manufacturing, it's cost COGS per unit equals to total COGS divided by units sold. In FinOps, it could be cost per transaction, cost per user, per gigabyte processed, or per feature delivered. All of that enables good things like pricing decisions when you're negotiating a new contract, reservations purchase, efficiency tracking like the cost per API or cost over or cost per user, and also forecasting, like how much infra is needed per X unit of demand. So in conclusion, just want to run real quick through this. The key takeaways, in my opinion. So the discipline, it drives efficiency. Teams must own their line. Visual management works, like Kanban boards, dashboards. Preventive maintenance saves money. Inventory, Inventory and capacity. This one here means that manufacturers track raw materials to ensure continuity. Cloud teams must track provisioning capacity, reserved instance, and workloads demand to avoid waste and outage. Unit economics really matters, and standardization enables scales. So my final comment would be FinOps is just not a cloud accounting, it's a digital manufacturing. When teams treat clouds like a production line, they unlock efficiency, accountability, and business value at scale. So thank you everyone. It was a pleasure.